So today I'm going to show you how to set up Upstash Redis and be able to connect to it from a Next.js application. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is create an account with Upstash. Now I've already created one, so I'm just going to log in and then create a database. I'll just call this test, and let's get started. We'll use the free plan and get that going. Now everything's up and running really fast. We'll be using the Upstash Redis client, which allows you to have a connection URL and then also a authentication token for that as well. So I have a basic Next.js application already running. Let's create an API endpoint to test out our connection to Redis. We'll create root.ts. We'll just create a basic GET request and return with a next response, which is JSON. And we'll use Postman to quickly test that endpoint. Great, that's all good. And now let's install the Upstash Redis client. So we'll create a .env file, which will have the Upstash Redis REST URL and Redis REST token, and you can copy that from the dashboard. And now that's done, we can create a file for our Redis client, and we'll add that here. And instead of just hard coding that, we'll get that from our environment variables. So process.env. Nice, and we also need to make sure that we export that as well so that we can import that from other files. Now that that's done, we can actually connect to it. So let's set a value and let's return that result just so we can see what happens. Run our dev server. Let's test that endpoint again, and the result's okay. So that should now have stored. And what's nice about Upstash is that they also have a data browser, so you can actually see all of the data that's being stored in your Redis database. And there we have it, we have foo. Now let's update our endpoint to actually retrieve this value. So instead of set, we'll use get, and that only accepts a key. So we'll save that. And yep, we get bar back, which is the value that foo is currently set to. Now, the best thing about using Redis with Upstash is that it does everything over HTTP. So this means that it's great for serverless environments or even edge environments as well, where you can't have a long-standing TCP connection, which is usually how you would connect to Redis. So let's go a step further and actually add some rate limiting to our endpoint as well. Upstash makes it so much easier is that they actually already provide a package for you. So let's install that. So let's head back over to our Redis client and create a new rate limit object. And let's export that as well. What we'll do is call limit on the rate limit object. So limit accepts an identifier, which will need to be unique based on maybe the users or the IP address. So for example, what you'll want to do is let's just have this here, and we'll quickly see what this actually looks like. There we go. So if we look at that, you can see that the rate limit result has, yep, success is true. The limit, it just tells us again what the limit is and how many requests are remaining within that 5-second window that we set. So let's check that again. We'll try to do it more than 5 times within 5 seconds. And there we can see success is false, so that means that it's now been rate limited, and then we can respond accordingly with that. So here we can quickly check if rate limit result dot success, or if it's false, then we can respond and say too many requests. So let's try to test that out. And there we go. Respond with too many requests. Now, what you want to do maybe as well is just instead of responding with a 200 response, we can just change that to a 429. Status 429. And that's more according to the spec. There we go, 429, too many requests. So if we run that request again, we can actually see in Redis what's happening behind the scenes. So if I run that, we can see here, this is actually what it's creating. It's creating a new key. Let's actually extend that time a little bit just so we can see what that looks like. We'll send that to 30 seconds. And if I run that request again, we can now see here, time to live is 30 seconds. And here you can see that counting down. And that's how Redis then knows how many requests have come in for that particular identifier. And here's where you can see the identifier. So that's actually what's happening behind the scenes. And that's it. That's how easy it is to connect to Redis Upstash from your application. So hopefully that was helpful. Let me know what else you would like a quick tutorial on, and I'll do that in the next video. All right, thanks.